You powered up no matter what the conditions.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A programming note, I'll be filling in for Dennis Prager this afternoon.
Oh, from when to when?
This morning, I guess, into this afternoon. Central Standard Time. That's the time we're on here. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And when does it air here?
11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
11 a.m. to 2 p.m. today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Today. So if you want to
call in.
listen, if 4 hours of me is not enough, then you could have another 3 or some fraction of the 3. We'd welcome you. So it's fun. And I didn't even have to have my dad pay $500,000 to Prager University.
Yeah, you did.
In order to get this.
No,
I didn't. Seriously. All right. Also, I don't know if this is happening in your neighborhood, but I presume it is because, you live with a bunch of crackpots there in Lakeview. Did you see that today is a walkout day, school walkout day for global warming?
Oh, please. Is Beto leading the charge?
He probably is in Texas, but here I found out about this listening to NPR yesterday.
Have no shame?
What are you talking about?
No, I listen to NPR. I used to listen to the car guys on Saturday morning. I'm very upset that.
Sure, right. How to take care of a 1977 Dodge Caravan.
Nuts. Yeah, those lug nuts, man.
So this was the topic yesterday. And, you just kind of, show your range. You got to consume lots of different content. High school girls organizing a walkout today to protest global warming. I don't know if Mother Earth is going to take judicial notice of this, but okay. 2 of the girls were CPS students, and one of the girls that were interviewed by NPR.
Yeah.
2 girls CPS, 1 student Bennett Academy.
Oh, I bet the Bennett Academy student was very bright and smart and savvy.
She wasn't, otherwise she wouldn't be trying to lead a protest at Bennett against global warming. The interviewer asked, all the girls if their fellow students supported them. CPS students said yes, getting a lot of support. Bennett girls said, well, I wish I could say that, but most of the students that go to my school are Republicans, so they don't believe in science, and they haven't been supportive of me. Then they asked her if the school supports her actions, and she's telling the kids to walk out of school. She said at Bennett, no, they really haven't been supporting me, and that's disappointing. But when I visit CPS schools, all the teachers and principals support me.
Look, they love me.
Yeah.
I'm over here.
Well, I'll tell you what, dope.
Just transfer.
Dope at Bennett. Yeah, why don't you go down to one of those CPS schools? Feel free. I don't know why Bennett let you in the first place.
Oh, because the parents maybe paid a lot of money.
Well, I doubt that, but the Republicans who don't believe in science. Let me talk about I'm embarrassed for her to make that sort of statement and go to the best school in the state, best high school in the state, which is Bennett Academy. And Bennett should be embarrassed to have her there, too. She needs some remedial work, or she needs to be sent down to CPS school where she can build her self-esteem rather than her intellectual capacity. But I just love the CPS. Everybody's all in.
Yeah.
At Bennett, no. Hey, you want to do this? Go ahead. See how many people you can persuade, but you're on your own, young lady. All right, for more on this, plus the new taxes Democrats are up to upping, we're pleased to be joined again by Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN, University of Illinois grad. Steve, how much did your parents pay to get you into U of I?
Be honest.
How'd you know I couldn't get in on my own merit?
Who took your ACT test
they
for
pulled
you?
all the strings, man.
Just a guess.
The big thing about that scandal, I was talking to my wife about this, is, look, every study shows it doesn't even matter where you go to college. I mean, it just doesn't. It may matter if you're able to get into Harvard or Yale or Princeton. There's an effect. And it isn't even the professors and stuff. It's just the effect of the people that you meet at those schools. You meet other smart people,
right.
And that has a positive effect. But, it really, parents out there, don't put all the pressure. I think it's so terrible. We put all these pressure on these kids to go to the best schools because somehow that's going to change their life. And by the way, you go to a lot of these, liberal elite universities, and they fill their heads with the crap that we're just talking about. And so I just think it's so unfortunate that, oh my gosh, I have to go to Duke or Northwestern, or I have to go to USC. There's a great piece in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw it, by a woman who went to USC saying, "Thank you for calling us an elite school. I didn't know we were an elite school."
Exactly. Exactly.
We thought we were University of Southern California, which stands for. Do you know what USC stands for?
University of Soft Credits.
Spoiled Children.
Oh, spoiled children too. Oh, okay.
They are spoiled.
Yeah. No. Well, exactly. That's exactly right. Although. You want your children to excel, but
my son is
right.
My son is going through it right now. He
Yeah.
really, really, really wants to go to Northwestern. He's on the deferred list, so it's nail biting time. We're waiting every day now because March is when you find out whether you get into these schools. And I just keep saying to David, just relax. I don't.
Well, what's his backup school?
Be good. Just be a good kid and work hard. And it doesn't matter whether you go to. By the way, when I went to Illinois, because I was thinking about this today. I mean, the big scandal universities is how much they're charging. When I went to University of Illinois, I graduated in 1983, and my tuition was $1,000 a semester.
Right.
30-some years later, it's $10,000 a semester. I mean, it may be more than that now at U of I. But, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, why is it that these costs are exploding at universities? The big scandal, Republicans are blowing this. The big scandal is it's not, let's make college universities free. It's let's start looking at under the hood, and see how the universities are spending all this money. And I'd love Republicans to run on a campaign if we're gonna require any university that gets federal money to cut their tuition in half.
I'm totally on board with that. Let me give you some advice on David, since I went to Northwestern.
Go to University of Iowa.
How does a Steve Moore Fieldhouse in Evanston sound to you? Is that something we could arrange? Is it maybe the Steve Moore Chair of Economics? Because that's something you'd be willing to do.
Yeah, well, there's a reason they don't call it Northwestern University anymore. They call it Ryan University now.
Yeah, as well.
Because he paid for everything. By the way, you look at these schools, though. I mean, have you been to the Lake Shore at Northwestern now?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
gorgeous.
my God, it's how much have they spent? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. We just did a study. You guys will find it. We looked at the 25 elite universities that probably on average cost $70,000 a year. Those universities have endowments that are so large they could provide free tuition to every student from now until eternity and still not run out of money.
That's
and
right.
If they're charging, they're bankrupting middle-class families. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of bankrupting and charging more money, interesting piece from a CEO of a cookie company in Florida who's part of the Job Creators Network testifying before Congress about a proposal that hasn't gotten much attention, but certainly deserves it, because there's been some Democrat House members, including John Larson of Connecticut, who has 200 co-sponsors. The Social Security 2100 Act raised the effective payroll tax rate by 2.4 percentage points, split it between employer and employee to get the total to 14.8. Would apply to all earned income and is to prop up that pyramid scheme called Social Security, something we should be alerted to, I suppose. I
know a lot about the Social Security system. I did a big study on this a number of years ago about the history of the program. And a lot of people don't know. When the program began back under FDR, do you know what the payroll tax was?
No.
I don't.
Tell us.
It was 1%. 1% employers and 1% on employees. And that'll pay up for everything. 1%, just 1% out of your paycheck. Oh, what a great deal. I get, lifetime retirement security for 1%. Well, then it was 1% and 2% and 3% and 4% and 5%, 8%, 10%. Now it's, including Medicare, you pay a 15.5%, payroll tax, and they want to raise the payroll tax again and again. Now we've got, think about this, folks. I mean, everybody knows, anybody who can do simple math knows that our massive national debt of $22 trillion and our annual deficits of $1 trillion for as far as the eye can see. I think anyone who's looked at it knows that it's all driven by the massive entitlement spending. We know that Social Security and Medicare are going broke. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to look at the numbers and understand that it's running out of money very soon. And yet they want to increase the benefits. they want to make the benefits even more generous to people. I mean, and then they want to put everybody in Medicare, right? So that's, as I describe it, that's taking everybody and putting them on the board of the Titanic.
Well, and the problem too. One of the other aspects of the problem, right, is 60 years ago you had 25 workers for every beneficiary. Today it's more like 4 to 1, right, or 3 to 1.
Yeah, so I always tell, when I talk to kids on college campuses, I just say, everybody get a partner and just take 10% of your paycheck. Let's cut out the government middleman. Just send your money to somebody playing golf in Palm Beach. Because that's what the system has become. Incidentally, when these young people, oh my gosh, climate change and all this, I heard your conversation about that. Look, the crisis that these young people are facing is not climate change. I mean, it's the massive national debt that these kids are going to. I mean, are these kids so stupid they can't do basic math? Who do they think the joke is on? Amy, you and I and Dan, we're not going to pay this.
No.
The joke's on them, and they're like, they're acting totally oblivious to all this stuff that they're going to have to pay massive. They're going to have to pay 70% of their income in taxes to pay for all these entitlement programs.
Don't tell that to Beto.
Yeah, Beto. Yeah, did you hear Beto O'Rourke yesterday, Stephen Moore?
I heard a little bit. What did he say?
Oh, he's off his rocker.
Was he on a skateboard?
No, he wasn't on a skateboard. But he claims that people in Houston should move out now because their houses are going to be underwater within 12 years.
You mean underwater financially or underwater?
No, underwater. Actual water. Because climate change is, he blamed Hurricane Harvey, said that's part of climate change. And in 12 years, this world is going to come to an end unless we stop
What's going to come?
Unless fossil
plant
fuels.
World is going to come.
Yeah, he said the world is going to come to an end.
I'm old enough to remember, we have a great piece on our heritage.org website on just all the, this isn't new, folks. This has been going on for 50, 60 years. You remember it was some apocalyptic environmental prediction. They've been making these predictions for decades. I mean, I go back to when the population bomb and we're going to have so many people on the earth that it'll be standing room only, and we're going to have nuclear winter, and we're running out of oil, and we're not going to have enough food, and everybody's going to starve to death. I mean, they've made these predictions for 50 and 60 years, and every one of them has been right. I mean, I'm even old enough to remember when it was global cooling.
Yeah.
We're going to have another ice age, folks. And if it's warming or an ice age, I think I'll take warming.
Well, you're old enough to remember a lot of things.
I saw your weather forecast. What's it going to be in the 30s today in Chicago?
Yeah.
I mean, would it be such a terrible thing if instead of 36, it were 38?
Yeah, well, you're old enough to remember a lot of things, Steve Moore, like when tuition was $1,000 a semester at U of I. Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist and chief economist for CNN. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Well, Dan, you never answered the question how you got in college.
Yeah, Dan.
Why would anyone let you in anyway?
on the merits, but I didn't disclose all of my personality quirks. That's how I got in.
Have a great weekend,
Steve.
guys.
And Stephen Moore joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM